Hey, this is Melanie with the Prepared Household, and I'm making some goodies for this swap and barter tonight. And I'm going to make some what others would call fried apple pies. I'm calling them baked apple pies. They're little individual pies, but I don't like to fry them. I like to bake them in the oven. And they turn out just as good, and they're not as greasy, and they're not as bad for you as a fried pie. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make a dough, the kind of the consistency of a biscuit dough. First of all, I'm taking 2.5 cups of warm water. Be sure that you don't use too hot water, that it kills your yeast. And I'm adding 5 tablespoons of yeast. And we're going to mix that up. And then to that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. And that just kind of has to hang out a little bit and work just a little bit, get some bubbles going on. And in the meantime, I'm going to pour some flour in the pan over here. We need about 6 cups of flour, but I don't just go by that. I kind of add some to it as I go, because it has to have the consistency of like a biscuit dough. And if it's not firm, I'll add more flour to it or whatever I need to add as I go. And I'll also add some ground cinnamon to the dough. And I'm just going to sprinkle some in here and mix it up. You can add some sugar if you want, but I don't like to add too much sugar. There's enough sugar in the apple butter that I'm going to use. Now you can use homemade apples. You can fry them and use them fresh, but this is some apple butter that we canned, and that's what I'm going to use for my insides. So while this give us time to get this yeast to go in here, looks like it's worked up pretty good. So I'm going to add that to the dough, and I'm doing this one-handed, so y'all have to forgive me. And to the dough, I'm going to add about 3 teaspoons of oil. I'm using canola because I'm out of olive oil, but let me tell you, if I had olive oil, I'd use olive oil. So, add about 3 teaspoons of that, and about a teaspoon of salt. Thank you. So just a little bit of salt in there. And let's give it a stir and see what consistency we have here, whether there's anything else we have to add.
You gotta add your love. I always gotta put love in your cooking.
Okay. Well, let's put some more flour in. It's still kind of wet. This has got to be something you're going to be able to handle. And this is right about it. You can smell that yeast in it. We want to mix that up really good. And then we're going to pop it out on the counter and start working with it. But we're going to let it rest just a minute, and we'll get right back with you. Okay, all I did was just pop this out of the pan and get it a little bit, put some flour on it so it's not as sticky. And I've oiled up my pan, and I've stuck it in the oven. What I'll do is we'll just take a little piece of dough here, put a little flour on it, and we'll spread it out. You can use a jar, a cup, a glass, whatever you want to, but I like to use the rolling pin because it makes it good and thin. And you want it to be big enough where you can fold it over when you get the mixture in it. So, I'm going to grab a tablespoon here. And we'll pop open our apple butter. Homemade. And we'll just add a little bit on there. Spread it out. Maybe a little too much, but let's fold it over. And then take your fork and crimp the edges. And then you slide that up and you put it on the pan in the oven and just keep it going. And we'll do a few of these and we'll get right back with you. Oh, just a little tip. We get these up off the counter with a spatula. It's just easier. So we'll get right back with you. Be sure to keep everything floured up so they're easy to pick up, because they can fall apart and burst open pretty easily. So we've got 6 in the pan here. And you know, these are handmade, so they're not all going to be perfect. They just take and put a little melted butter or margarine on top of them. At this point you could sprinkle a little sugar, but like I said, I don't like to add a whole lot of sugar. The apple butter is sweet enough and it's going to be really good. I really don't like a lot of sugar on top. And we'll pop these in the oven. And I really don't remember how long I cook them for, but I've got them at 400 degrees and I'll keep an eye on them. And I'll let you know later how long I cooked them for. So here's the finished pies, and they really look good. So I think I'll try one, see how it tastes. Still a little warm. That is good. So there we have it. My oven baked pies.